Success isn't just about money. It's about winning in every area of life. Welcome to the Larry Hulsey podcast, where we dive into leadership, business, personal growth, investing, and family so you can prosper the way God intended. I'm Larry Hulsey, and each episode will bring you the wisdom, strategies, and motivation to help you level up in every part of your life. So if you're ready to grow, lead, and succeed, let's get started.
All right. Okay.
Here we go. So this is the Larry Hulsey podcast. My special guest, Brad Harris.
Hey guys, how's it going? We're kind of beautiful St. Kitts, right?
Oh yeah.
A little bit of rain though behind us.
Yeah. It's been sunny the whole time we've been here.
The whole time we've been here. So yeah.
Right at the moment you plan your podcast outdoors, that's when it's going to rain.
It's gonna rain.
Just count on it.
Totally count on it.
So I appreciate you being here, Brad.
Yeah.
Flying all the way to St. Kitts for this podcast.
Absolutely. I'd do anything for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopped on an airplane. So
man.
Happened. So yeah.
So we've been traveling the world for years.
Man, I've been in Herbalife. Be 32 years in April.
Mm-hmm.
So how long you been in?
Be 30 years in June.
So we've known each other for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is wild.
You're a young kid though.
I know.
So, you're only I was 31 when I started the business.
Yeah.
You were what?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's been a wild ride.
It has been an incredible ride.
Yeah.
It really has. It's like, and I wouldn't turn it in for nothing. You know what I mean? What I've learned in Herbalife, or what I've learned just in the business side of it.
Yeah.
And of course, we've expanded our business of ventures everywhere.
Yeah.
We've taken what we learned from Herbalife, and it's been unbelievable what we've been able to do. So.
Absolutely.
Truly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you've been somebody I've looked up to for years, and, we've been close friends, but also just looked at you as a mentor, and you've always been great at helping me stay on track whenever I'm kind of going like this,
Yes.
We all need somebody like that, somebody that can speak like, some wisdom in your ears, somebody with a little more experience.
Yeah.
So,
well, both of us have the same moral code.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to be, or, mentor to you or have a conversation with you because I know you have the same moral code I did.
Yeah.
Both Christians, so it gives you such a path to follow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's always, sometimes when I'm working with someone who doesn't have that path, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that same moral code. They don't follow down that path. And so their core values aren't the same as mine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been great working with you and Heather. I mean, just super great. Yeah, working with that. So it's been good.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell about maybe a little bit about your upbringing? I know you have a great dad.
Yes.
Taught you work ethic.
Yes.
Taught you a lot of things.
Yes.
Maybe you can share just your story about your upbringing and things you learned from your dad.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely, I was, there was two. I had a brother, a sister. So, I was, my dad was an airline mechanic. My dad was an airline mechanic when I was young. He was an airline mechanic at TWA. Some of you guys may have to Google that. But to see what that is.
ChatGPT, Brad. They got a ChatGPT.
ChatGPT,
yeah. Google's so, 2015.
Exactly. Now it's ChatGPT. You need to do that. But American Airlines actually bought them up. My dad is working at the airline. He was running a trash route and working at a gas station. Okay. And he was working 3 jobs. I definitely saw that. Of course, my mom didn't work. We were from that, culture, and this, I was born in 62. So, in his late 60s, 70s, mom was a stay-at-home mom. So dad wanted mom home. We only had 1 car. So my dad would get rides to work, but everything we did, my dad grew a garden. It was just, he built his own houses. So I saw if he wanted something, it was work ethic. And that was huge for me. I saw the work ethic that he had. I ended up, as I grew older, I got into baseball. I was a really great baseball player. And then my dad was my coach. Mm-hmm. So that's where I really got close to him there. He was my coach. We won 2 grand championships in baseball in the 70s. And so I was, I was that child that I was kind of shy, but because of sports, it kind of pulled me out of that. Gave me that confidence that I needed. Always a pretty good student, and then then it like I said, watched my dad, like I said, and then of course I went in the same industry he did. So he was in the airline industry. I went to A&P school, which is aircraft power plant mechanics. So I went to school for 2.5 years, and then I got on a TWA also. I got on a TWA with my dad, and he had been there. My dad ended up being there for almost 40 years. 40 years.
Wow.
Which that doesn't happen anymore either.
No.
You don't see that,
No.
right? Pam's
Hardly
dad,
at all.
my wife, Pam, her dad worked for the railroad. He worked 41 years at the railroad.
Really?
Before he retired.
I didn't know that.
So I saw both sides. I always been around that kind of work ethic. It's you stay with what you're doing. You treat people right. You work hard. Put food on the table, shirt on your back, roof over your head.
Yeah.
That was my responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, when I got married and had kids. So I always had that in me, but I love that, what he brought to me, because it served me so well.
Oh, yeah.
As I kind of journeyed off into the business.
Yeah. So, and your parents, how long were your parents married?
Mom and dad were married because mom passed away. So they were married like 52 years.
Yeah.
Mom passed away. She ended up getting cancer. She passed away about 60. She was 69 years old. So mom's been passed away now for.
It's been a while.
It's incredible. Yeah, like 15 years. My
God,
dad's.
has it been that long?
I know. My dad's 80. My dad's 86 now. And he ended up remarrying a lady from our church, and he ended up remarrying. But I did see that. Pam's mom and dad are still married. They've been married. They're going on, I don't know, 60 years. So
you don't see that either.
No,
you don't see that very often either.
No, that's like I said. So I always tell people everything I do because I'm around it. Right? I've been in Herbalife 32 years. I've been at the same church we go to for, I don't know, 50 years. The same place. And so I've been BNI, which is a network. I've been in that for 20 years. And so it's everything I do. You get me. That's just one. And that's what my dad taught me. You do something, you do it, and you stick with it.
Yeah.
Until it works. You know what I mean? And so make it happen. And my dad he was financially successful because he would just kept, his first house that he bought, which is crazy. I think his first house was $7,000. Had a $78 house payment. Had to work those 3 jobs though
to make the payment.
To make the $78. He was making $1.50 an hour at TWA.
$1.50?
$1.50 an hour. Started out at TWA. He's pumping gas. He had a trash route he was running. Getting, he actually bought the route, and he would charge $1 a week to come pick up their trash. He was a hustler. So that's where we got all of it too. That's where my bike came from the trash route. He'd find bikes. We got all of our stuff, you know what I mean? Because he just didn't have a lot of money. I didn't know that though, really. I didn't care. It was cool to me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember him bringing a basketball goal hole one time and put it up because the guy was throwing it away. And so, so he, and then of course, he sold that house. He sold that house for $60,000.
Oh, wow.
So
almost 10x.
Yeah, 18 years later.
Yeah.
60,000, sold it, and then went and built his next house. Okay, and then sold that house. He built his next house with the cash, and we did, most of the work. Dad did most of the work. He'd hire one guy, it's a contractor, and we would do a lot of the work, roofing, electrical, plumbing, all that kind of stuff. That's what I do. That's what I do in the summer. We built that house, and then.
How old were you when that house was built?
I was 18. I was going to college. 18. I was working that summer with Dad.
Okay.
And then he sold that house. And like I said, he ended up selling that house for $120,000. And so he sold 60, went to 120, and then built the house that he's in today. And that house probably today is worth $550,000. Which is crazy. But he made his money because of the housing boom.
Yeah.
He was in that where, especially in Kansas City, housing's never jumped like that in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Since
there's steady growth though.
Now it's just steady growth.
Yeah.
You don't have 10x, like you said, 10x.
Yeah.
Because when I bought my first house I bought, we built that one. We built that for 65,000. We sold that for 150. I sold that for 150 and got in the next house. I bought it for 380, and then sold that for almost 600.
But did you build your own house too?
But the first one I built.
The first one you built.
Yeah.
Your dad helped you.
He helped me. I was working at TWA. I'd work midnight, crazy work ethic. I worked midnight to 7:30. I usually end up working 4 hours over because that was time and a half. So I'd work 4 hours over. So I'd worked about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, get off, go straight to the house. Dad would meet me there because Dad was working nights also. And so I would go there and we would work on that house all day. I get home probably 6 o'clock, 7, sleep for 4 hours. Do it again. I remember Pam's mom and dad going, "You're going to kill yourself." And I was like, 90 days. Because it almost took me 90 to 120 days to build that house.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a friend of ours at church who was a contractor. He helped me a lot. He did the concrete work and the digging, and he did a lot of the rough ends. So we do electrical, plumbing, hanging doors, doorknobs, stain the cabinets, all that kind of stuff we did, painted, and, did all that. And so it's amazing when you say, because I built that house for 65, but it appraised at 85. And so, just learned that's how we made our money. That's how we were making our money. But also it was just like, I was living in a duplex, me and Pam were, and this people next to us were so loud. And I wanted out there so bad. So bad I wanted out of there. I was willing to do whatever it took.
Yeah.
To get in my own home. So
yes.
So that was kind of my life up till 31 years old. I'd been at TWA for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then that's where Pam came across Herbalife.
Yeah.
That's where that came in. And so, which is kind of a crazy story.
So, Pam was always looking for something else. She was always
Pam was always doing home interior, Tupperware, making Christmas bears, making me take it to work and sell them. So most embarrassing thing, we take these little Christmas bears, put them on my box. I sold them. I sold them like Christmas bears. So you put a little frill around them. But we needed money. And so it's like, take these in, just put them on. I put them in my toolbox. I'd sell 20 of those. She was selling them probably for $12 a piece or something like that. But she was always doing something. Pam was always looking, because we had the same thing. I wanted Pam to stay home with the kids. I wanted Pam home with the kids, so I didn't want her to go out.
Yeah.
So I had that same, for my dad. It's like, I wanted Pam home. We had, 2 children. I want him to stay home with the kids. I'll work all the overtime. I'll work 2 jobs. I had a mobile wash business on the side that I was doing on the weekends. I'd power wash semis. Never forget the first semi company I got a business I washed. It was 40 semi trucks. I washed them all, and and I got $8 a truck. And so $8 a truck, there was 40 of them. That was $320. I'll never forget it. $320. I was excited. First money I made, and that company went bankrupt. So I didn't get paid.
Oh, you didn't get paid?
I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. They went under.
Oh.
And so
they had clean trucks though.
Yeah.
They went under.
They had a clean parking lot. And then I got a bus account where I was cleaning 170 buses, $4 a bus.
Holy moly.
And so it was Laidlaw Bus Company. They'd park these buses in their parking lot. And literally, Larry, the buses were they back them in. Okay, and they were maybe that far apart from each other. This enough for me to walk down the side of them. And then I'd wash them. So I power wash them, me and my partner. Okay. And so he had a wand with a brush on it. And I would go, shh, and then he would go down, then I would wash it off. And all that grit and dirt would come in my face. We'd get there at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd finish probably 8 o'clock that night. He got $2, I got $2.
$2.
So that is like, so I was like, that was my first business. But our whole goal was going to have 50 of those machines going. That was our whole goal. That was kind of the plan.
Yeah.
But then you find out what it costs to run the equipment. My equipment would break down.
Maintenance.
People would run over my hose.
Yeah.
Because I had this long, hose, which was the power wash. These hoses were like $200 a piece to buy a new one, and people would run over them. So I'd put stuff around and say, go around. And they just run over it like a garden hose. So I learned so much. So I learned, and that's where Pam was like, "There's got to be something different."
Yeah.
There's got to be something different. That's when she started.
The free newspaper search.
She went to free newspapers. I would throw them away. I'd get to the park. And I would try to stop her because she was always thinking of something. Oh, we can do this. How the free newspapers, they throw them on your driveway in those days, or you get them in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And she beat me to the mailbox one day. She got it. She says, "You won't even believe it. I answered this ad. It's a nutrition company." Pam was looking for his nutrition. Pam had a lot of health problems at that time. She was severely underweight.
Mm-hmm.
She could never gain weight. After our last baby, Tyler, I don't know, she had postpartum depression. She got down to 90 pounds. Just couldn't gain weight. Good nutrition wasn't there. Her face was breaking out. And she said, maybe this. So she comes up. She has a nutrition company. Of course, I'm old school.
Yeah.
Big time. I'm still kind of old school. You know that,
Oh,
Larry.
yeah.
Okay, Larry knows me, so I'm still old school. And so, but I was old school, no babe, especially not that. And she's like, this guy said if I come over to his basement tonight, he can make me $150. I'm like, what?
What?
Yeah, you got to what? Good Christian family. We don't do that.
We don't need to go to the basement.
We don't need to go to the
what's happening in the basement?
What's happening? It's like, what are you doing? And so she throws a phone book at me. She's so mad at me. So those big phone books, yellow ones, remember the big ones?
Oh, yeah.
And so she throws a phone book at me. So I'll let her go. She goes to this meeting. And, she comes back and she says, this guy gave me all these pills and I have energy. I'm like, you went to some guy's basement and you took his pills.
Yeah.
You have energy.
You're very trusting here, Pam.
I was like, we don't go that route either. We're not going down that path.
We don't take the pills from the strangers. Like
some guy's basement.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's going to be this incredible meeting tomorrow. We got to go. You got to take a look at it. So I went there to take care of this guy, whatever he was promising. And the guy who was there ended up being a huge friend of me and yours, Dan Waldron. And he was there from Dallas, Texas. And he was there and two other people. It was me and Pam and two other people. And this one girl was there who was on the product. She was getting a perm in her hair because my sponsor, his wife was a beautician. So she had done a perm. That was in those days. We did a lot of perms.
Oh, yeah.
So I hated
my mom had one.
Oh, yeah. I hated that smell.
No, it's the worst.
Oh, it's just
the worst.
The worst smell in the world. So I'm not happy about being there. And so Dan gets up there and he starts talking to us. And Cindy, of course, was on the product. He said, Cindy, tell him, she had a perm in her hair. And so he's like, tell him how much weight. She lost 34 pounds.
She can't be lying with the
perm.
Can't
be lying
hair.
with the perm. Come on. So I bought that story. And he asked her how much money she made last month doing the business. She said she was doing flyers in Walmart's parking lot and made $1,500.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, Pam, I can drop you off on the way home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then they said this red thing, Larry. They said it costs money to get started.
Oh, red flag.
Red flag.
Red flag.
They wanted $55. Like,
No.
It's like, babe, no. This is, you can't make money for spending money. I left that meeting. We came in 2 cars. I left that meeting because I had to go by and pick up the kids because I had to drop them off at Dad's. So I'm going to go get the kids. You stay here. Just don't spend no money.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. So I went home and she ended up getting with Dan. She ended up, which is crazy, made a list of names and ended up making $55 right there. And earned her kit that day and brought it home.
Didn't spend any money.
Didn't spend any money.
Yeah.
Made money. And of course, kit had product in it. And she started taking it and she just started, I could see her energy. I could see her popping out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. She was just something different about her. I saw that. And she looked at me and said, hey, listen, you need to lose weight because she was taking it for weight gain. You need to lose weight. So why don't you try the product for weight gain or weight loss? And I'm like, you lose work by hard work, sweat, and salads. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But that's how it's done. And anyway, put it on the refrigerator. I'll take it. I'll show. And I actually took it to prove it wouldn't work. And ended up losing, 15 pounds in 15 days.
Wow.
Not typical.
No.
Totally not typical.
But crazy.
But crazy. Ended up losing 25 pounds there. I went on now to lose almost over 40 pounds.
Wow.
I was 225 at the time. I weigh about 188 now. So it's just like, so that's kind of how our business started. When I got that result, of course, when I walked into TWA with that result, I told Pam I'd never do the business.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a mechanic. I put jet engines on.
Yeah.
Landing gears.
Right.
Cool
Macho.
stuff.
Cool stuff. Yes.
3,000 PSI with the bus.
Right.
Right? Power stuff. And so she's like, anyway, so when I walked to TWA though, at my job, and they're like, "What are you doing?" You know, and now Pam's got me to serve stuff, and it's working. And I never forget, John said, "Give me a program."
Yeah.
Like, dang. So I go home, Pam, John wants a program. She said, "I thought you weren't going to sell. You told me." I was like, "I didn't. Just give me a stupid product." I took it in.
I didn't sell anything. I
didn't
just told
sell
my
anything.
story.
It does. It's so amazing. It really,
Yeah.
and so it was teaching me all these lessons, Larry.
Yeah.
All this, even with the lessons with Pam, because she got results, I got results. Now I saw somebody else get results, because John got on the product and he wants one for his wife. The next thing you know, I'm taking a program a day in the TWA, and I was trying. And next thing you know, Pam made about $1,680 her first month. Third month in business, she equaled my income out there at TWA.
Wow.
I was making probably $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
With overtime, and which was pretty good money in early 90s.
Oh yeah.
And so, and then she said, "Listen, there's this meeting in Chicago I have to go to." And I try to fight her out of that. I'm thinking perm, you know what I mean? I'm thinking
like another incredible meeting.
Another incredible meeting we got to go to. But anyway, so I ended up going up there, try to talk her out of the meeting up there. No, we're going. So I ended up walking in, totally not wanting to be there. Walked in that meeting that day. And there was a guy named there, Mark Hughes, who's the owner of Herbalife and started Herbalife, CEO, founder. I don't know, something clicked, Larry. I was just sitting there, something clicked. There was a grandma there making $5,000 a month, and I'm thinking I'm working circles around her, right? And so, but I noticed all the people there were normal people. They weren't salesmen, because that's what I thought I had to be, a salesman. They were normal people making way above average income. They were no common denominator. Bartenders, waitresses, you know what I mean? Even Mark had a 9th grade education. And so it's like, I was like, wow. So a light bulb went off. I always tell people, when it's kind of like when you meet your wife, or the light bulb goes off, and you're like, and it just went off for me that day.
Yeah.
And we left that meeting, and and it just went home, started working with Pam. It just took off for us, Larry. It took off. My whole family did it with me. My sister ended up seeing us lose weight. She got on the product. She's now top level in the company with me. My dad and mom ended up joining me. My cousins. And so it just took off for us, which was great. And I was able to quit TWA, which, like I said, I was a mechanic because my dad was a mechanic. I really didn't love being a mechanic. I love teaching.
Yeah.
I taught in church. And so I always taught class in church. Even when I was younger, I taught young kids at church. I'd always take classes. And so I love teaching. Even when I worked at TWA, they put me on engine crews, because it takes 4 people to put an engine on. They'd always put me as a leader of that 4 people to get them all, because they all got egos, and trying to get them to get an engine on. Yeah. And get it on, get the airplane out. So I was really good at that. I could teach people, I could show people, I could train. So when I saw Herbalife start seeing, I was like, I can do this. I've been doing it all my life. Now I have an opportunity. And of course, when I saw the marketing plan, I saw how they paid. I heard the testimonials. I was like, and Dan, who was the one that met me in Kansas City, was from Dallas. He called me up and said, "Hey, listen, I'll teach you how to recruit. I'll teach you." And Dan was successful. And I was always coachable. I was a baseball player. I was always, coach, very, very, very coachable. And it just took off for us. Yeah. It was huge.
Can you talk a little bit about the, who you had to become? Because, the guy you are today is obviously a completely different person than you were back then. And you got that easy money in the beginning, or seemingly easy.
Yes.
Right. It was just results, and people are going.
Yeah.
And then
had momentum.
Anybody in our business is always going to hit the point where it's like, where the rubber meets the road, where it's like not just pure excitement. It's like, oh, now we got to dig in and get better. And
yes, we took off, like I told him. And of course, I quit my job, and Herbalife had taken off. I was making close to $10,000 a month in 7 months, and so made 10,000. Quit my job. I knew nothing about business, Larry.
Yeah,
it's like I just I had lived off because I got results and testimonials and all that kind of stuff, and then people were working it with me, and then we had a little bit of a negative press in Kansas City in December of 1993. And my business went from making $10,000 a month to probably making $1,200 a month.
Yikes.
Okay, and it is, and it, if I would be who I'm at today, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
But I was not a leader.
Right.
I wasn't a leader. I didn't know how to manage that. I didn't know how to manage, negative stuff. I didn't know how to, confrontation. I didn't know how to manage that. I didn't know how to lead people. I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely my guys were scared.
Yeah.
Okay. So I couldn't just walk in the room and say, no problem, guys. You're 1, 2, 3, we'll get it going. And so, which I would do today, it would be no problem. But I didn't have leadership skills. And so luckily I had this friend, him, Denny Bullard.
Mm-hmm.
He handed me a book called Man in the Mirror. And it's a fantastic book. One of the best books you can ever read. He handed me a book, and I had never read books. Besides, the ones I didn't want to read, the ones you had in school that you'd never read. And so anyway, I read that book, and it just talked about that kind of stuff. You had to become a leader, and you had to become, it was a spiritual book too. You had to be a spiritual leader in your family. You got to lead your family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, wow, leadership. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this struck me. And so I went on this journey, Larry. I went on this journey in that year. I got to become a better leader. I got to become a better person that can lead people and lead leaders too.
Yeah.
And so I went on to read 76 books that year of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I could get my hand on in leadership. I just engulfed in. I would just get up at 5 a.m, read for 2 hours. It's amazing how many books you can read if you read an hour, 2 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
You can knock out a book in 2-3 days sometimes. And so, but I was reading it and highlighting it, and then then it started becoming me.
Mm-hmm.
It started becoming me, and because I had told Pam I'd go back to TWA. When it kind of crashed, I was like, I'll just go back to TWA, go back to be a mechanic. I'd call them up.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you're gonna go back what you hated?
Mm-hmm.
She was so good. I was like, well, there's a $175 light bill there. How's that? What are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
She went downstairs, came back 30 minutes later, hands me $175. She went and sold some products. And I was just, wow. She was showing me leadership. She didn't have any problem.
Yeah.
Well, what's the problem? And our products are so incredible, Larry. You can retail your way out of any problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, wow. So they really took that on. That's when I started, like, I got to become a better leader in my family too.
Yeah.
Because I could see I was not getting respect from her. She was now not respecting me. You're going to go back to what you hated. I thought we had a dream. I thought we were going to go do something. I thought we were going to go. I thought we weren't going to do that. You weren't going to have to work midnight to 7:30 and work every weekend and never be here with the kids. And when you're here, you're sleeping because you're tired all the time. So took that on. I took that on, Larry. And that next 2 or 3 years, I really took that on. And, my check stayed. We really had to sell a lot of product. Because my check, what I talk a royalty check, it was around $2,000.
Yeah.
And so, but I just kept developing myself. All of a sudden, Larry, it was like, because it's like, it's like compound interest. It just started all of a sudden one day. My check went from $2,000 to $11,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bonus kicked in.
Oh yeah.
And that took
we can't even talk about the bonus.
We can't even talk about what that took me to. And then that kicked in, Larry.
Yeah.
And then it was like, wow.
Yeah. That's a wrap for today. If you got value from this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. And if this message resonated with you, share it with a friend and connect with me on social media. I'm at Larry Hulsey, and I'd love to hear how you're applying these lessons in your own journey. So remember, success is more than just one area of life. You want to keep growing, keep leading, and keep prospering the way God intended. We'll see you next time.